You come home and the dog loses its mind. Full body. Tail going so fast it looks broken, like you just came back from war, not from getting gas. And you kneel down and you let it happen. And something in your chest loosens that you didn't realize was tight. No one's waiting for an explanation. No one's keeping score. No one's about to say, "We need to talk." And then you stand up, check your phone, and there it is. A text you've been avoiding. A conversation that's going to cost you something emotionally. A person who loves you in a way that requires effort you're not sure you have tonight. So you put the phone down and you sit on the floor with the dog. And if someone asked you why, you'd say, "I just really love my dog." And you do. That's real. But that's not the whole thing. Here's what nobody talks about. The bond you have with your dog might be one of the only relationships in your life where you set all the emotional terms. Your dog doesn't get passive-aggressive, doesn't bring up something you said in March, doesn't slowly lose interest, doesn't decide one day that the version of you they fell in love with isn't the version they're getting anymore. The dog doesn't have a version of you. The dog just has you. And for some people, that's not just comforting. That's the entire point. But not everyone attaches to their dog for the same reason, and this is where it starts to get interesting. Some people love their dog because human relationships genuinely wore them out. Not in a dramatic way, in a slow, quiet way. Years of adjusting, reading the room, monitoring how they land, being the reliable one, the steady one, the one who holds everything together. And at some point they stopped having the energy to perform closeness and still feel something real underneath it. The dog is where the performance stops. Not where love starts, but where love finally gets to stop working so hard. Then there's a different version. Some people love their dog because being needed is the only emotional position that feels safe. They're the person who researches dog food like they're filing a dissertation, who knows their dog's anxiety triggers better than their own, who has a whole system for enrichment, training, routine, and emotional attunement. And the reason they can pour all of that into the dog is because the dog will never outgrow the need. It will never say, "I'm fine, you can stop." It will never become independent enough to leave. You already know which one you are. And if you felt a small resistance just now to admitting it, that's probably worth paying attention to. And there's something kind of funny about dog people, if you watch closely. You'll see someone carry a 70-pound golden retriever to the car because the parking lot is hot. Carefully, gently, like they're transporting something sacred. And then that same person will cancel on a friend for the third time this month and feel almost nothing about it. They'll spend 45 minutes on the floor doing that thing where you scratch behind the ears and the dog slowly melts sideways. And they won't spend 5 minutes on a phone call with someone who's clearly going through something because it might get emotionally complicated. That's not cruelty. That's a person who knows exactly how much energy emotional complexity costs and who's making a very specific choice about where to spend what's left. But here's where this goes somewhere most people don't expect. It's not just that the dog is safe. It's that the dog makes you feel like your best self. And you might be more attached to that feeling than you realize. Think about it. You're patient with the dog in ways you're not patient with people. You're generous. You're present. You notice small things. You slow down. You let the dog take its time on a walk, sniffing the same patch of grass for the 15th time. And you just stand there. And you're fine with it. When's the last time you gave a person that kind of patience? The version of you that exists with the dog is someone you actually like. Someone calm. Someone emotionally available. Someone who doesn't get irritated or closed off or distant, and you love being that person. Maybe more than you've been willing to admit, because that version of you only exists in a relationship where you're never challenged, never contradicted, never confronted with your own patterns. In psychology, there's a concept that part of how you see yourself comes from how the people around you respond to you. And the dog always responds the same way, with joy, with presence, with uncomplicated devotion. So the reflection never shifts. And at some point, you stop just loving the dog. You started needing the reflection. There's a specific moment that dog people know. It's late, the house is quiet, and the dog is next to you, on the couch or on the bed, or just lying on the floor nearby. And you reach down and put your hand on them, and you feel their breathing, and for a second, everything in your head goes completely still. That's not just a feeling, by the way. Research shows that physical contact with your dog triggers a release of oxytocin in both of you, the same hormone that bonds a mother to her newborn. Your brain is running its deepest attachment chemistry for the one relationship that will never test it. No managing, no monitoring, no calculating what someone needs from you. Just warmth, just presence, just something alive that chose to be next to you for no reason other than you're you. And that moment is real. It's one of the most honest things in your life. But it's also the only moment all day where you let yourself stop performing. And it's worth sitting with the question of why an animal is the only thing that gets to see you like that. Now here's the part that actually stings. Some people, and you'll know if this is you, use the dog relationship as quiet proof that they're capable of deep love. Look how much I care. I would do anything for this animal. And that's true. You would. But it's also a version of love where you never have to prove it in a place where it's hard. The dog doesn't know your patterns, doesn't see you get distant when things get close, doesn't notice that your independence is starting to look a lot like control. The dog experiences your warmth, your devotion, your best self, without ever encountering the parts of you that make human intimacy actually difficult. And the uncomfortable truth is this: you might be a better partner to your dog than you are to the people who actually need you. Not because you love the dog more, but because loving the dog lets you believe you're someone who loves deeply without ever having to do it in a place where it costs you something. That's not a flaw. That's one of the most human negotiations a person can make. But it is a negotiation, and you made it so quietly you might not have noticed. And look, the love is real. The grief when they're gone is some of the worst grief you'll ever feel, and you don't have to justify that to anyone. But the people who love their dogs the hardest are often the people who have the most to give in human relationships. They're attentive. They're loyal. They notice small things. They remember what someone needs without being told. They just decided somewhere along the way that giving all of that to a person felt like too much of a gamble. So they gave everything to the one place it felt safe. You're going to sit with your dog tonight, and it'll be the stillest part of your day. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm saying that version of you, the calm one, the present one, the one who's not performing, that's not your dog self. That's just you. And the question isn't whether you love your dog enough. You obviously do. The question is whether the only reason that version of you exists is because you found the one relationship where it was never at risk,